The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18 plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Joining us now is Fox News legal analyst and big best-selling author Gregg Jarrett. Gregg, James Comey was in court today. I mean, that's a wild one. To think the former FBI director, there was an arrest warrant out for him and he showed up. Where do you think that case is going?
Well, you know, I think all the legal commentators over the last 24 hours who have been quick to condemn the Comey indictment as frivolous or absurd are overlooking some important points. I mean, this case is in the Eastern District of North Carolina. It's predominantly conservative. And in a politically charged case like this, that helps the prosecution. It doesn't help Comey. Moreover, the federal grand jury was persuaded that Comey willfully intended to threaten the life of the president. Well, this trial jury from the same district may agree with that, even though there's a higher burden of truth. Third, I think, you know, the second count against Comey does not require a willful threat, which is a higher standard. No, it allows a lesser standard, recklessly disregarding the risk of violence. As I say, that's easier to prove because it's a lower standard of proof. Fourth, I think other people in the same Eastern District have been successfully prosecuted on the very same charges, which undermines the claim that Comey was trying to make in court today through his lawyers that, oh, gee, you know, he's the victim of selective or vindictive prosecution. No, they've been bringing these kinds of cases against others.
Yeah, Greg, he keeps saying that he just stumbled upon shells on the beach. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've never been to a beach that says 8647 and then he stumbled.
It just smells.
It does, how can you believe that? You know, and John, it was the same beach that a couple months earlier he stumbled upon one that says vote for Kamala. That's one hot beach.
I want to hear Gregg's analysis on the Supreme Court hearing.
Yeah, big decision today by the Supreme Court. Talk about that one.
Well, it was an easy, obvious decision. Louisiana was an extreme example of how states and courts have misused and abused the Voting Rights Act, creating reverse discrimination under the guise of fighting race discrimination. In this case, a lower court had ordered the state, you must create a second black majority district in what amounted to racial gerrymandering. That violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. Frankly, the High Court today should have gone further, as Gorsuch and Thomas argued, by striking down any use of race in drawing district lines, because that has nothing to do with voting qualifications or the denial of the right to vote based on race, which is what the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, is all about. But, you know, over the decades, the language of that act has been stretched and contorted way beyond the specific meaning and original intent. You know, it was the mentality that drove affirmative action which did that. And in the end, what may have been good intentions back in 1965 grew exponentially into greater wrongs and a more insidious form of racism. So, you know, this is an important ruling today, as you point out. It may dramatically change the way more than a dozen states in the South and Midwest draw their maps. It may, in the end, dilute contrived Democratic power to the benefit of Republicans.
Fernando Mateo.
Greg, how are you? Fernando Mateo here. Is there a way of reversing those states that drew lines prior to today?
It takes time to do that? It's an excellent question, Fernando. A lot of states are now armed with this new ruling, going to make moves to redraw their maps, but for many of them, it cannot be done in time for the midterm elections, which are upon us very shortly. After that, most certainly they will do what you're suggesting.
Great. That's good news.
That is. Hey, Greg, I want to get to the other big news of the day of Cole Allen. This is the guy, the 31-year-old guy who was loaded for bear and, of course, was trying to kill the president and others in that ballroom in Washington. They released a picture today, my friend, and I couldn't believe it. It was so chilling, of the guy he took it of himself in the hotel room. And he took it at 8:00. Now, they say he went down around 8:30. So it's 30 minutes before he goes down. And he is dressed like he's ready to be a guest at the ballroom. That's what's really frightening. It's the first time that you actually saw. And my first thought was, this guy absolutely was planning to hopefully get into the ballroom. He wrote in the manifesto, too, that he was mocking the security in his little manifesto that he sent to his sister and brother and others, saying the security is so lax in this building, I can't believe it. So I think it clearly, to me, also bolsters the prosecution's case that he was really planning to do something so damaging. And all I kept thinking about it, what if he had a grenade or an explosive? I mean, that's frightening.
Sure. It really is. And both the manifesto itself as well as the photograph are highly incriminating, self-incriminating. And it's a slam dunk case. It shows clear intent to commit multiple killings of high government officials, including the President of the United States. We're going to see further crimes, could be separate counts of attempted murder as well as federal interstate stalking to commit a mass shooting because he traveled from California. Trump, I think it can be said, was the intended target along with cabinet members. And that means, the specific federal statute kicks in, attempted assassination of the president. It carries a term of life in prison. I think in the end, this guy is going to face the full force of the law and spend the rest of his days behind bars.
Well, he shot a cop, right?
Right.
He shot a cop.
Well, the cop was shot.
Yeah, the cop was shot.
It's unclear whose bullet at this point. That's
he's responsible for it.
Right, he's still responsible. Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
It's Richard Weinberg, Greg. But as Greg knows, it
Judge
doesn't
Richard
matter.
Weinberg.
Thank you. I needed that.
In case he forgot. I had to tell him.
The fact of the matter is, if the weapon was discharged, that's enough. And it doesn't have to be his gun that was discharged. That's enough.
Judge, you're absolutely right. Other statutes come into play. The point is, this could have been a horrific bloodbath inside the ballroom. And it raises the question, there is no domestic terrorism law that applies to attempted mass shootings unless there's a foreign terror group involved. There's no evidence of that here yet. There's a bill pending on Capitol Hill. That has stalled, and I think given what happened over the weekend, that may now change. A lot depends on the evidence that has been seized, and it will be processed. We're probably going to learn more in the days ahead, but it shows a high level of planning and premeditation, Judge, which you know all about.
Well, thanks very much, Greg. We deeply appreciate it.
Born on America's darkest day of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes ever since. Heroes like FDNY Lieutenant Edward J. McDonough Jr., a Marine Corps veteran and lifelong public servant. After 9/11, McDonough served at Ground Zero. He later lost his life to a related cancer, leaving behind his wife Kimberly and their 5 children. Tunnel to Towers honored his sacrifice by paying off the family's mortgage. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org today.